Welcome back to our channel. Today, we take a deep dive into the fascinating life of Cathy Lee Crosby, a woman who broke barriers and captured hearts with her talent, beauty, and fearless spirit. From her early days as a tennis prodigy to becoming the first woman to play a superhero in the television movie Wonder Woman, Cathy Lee's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Behind her golden blonde hair and iconic sultry voice lies a story filled with incredible achievements, groundbreaking moments, and personal challenges. From her rise to stardom to the struggles that shaped her legacy, this is the compelling story of Cathy Lee Crosby, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Stay tuned as we uncover the secrets, scandals, and triumphs of this trailblazing icon. A remarkable childhood. Cathy Lee Crosby's early years were profoundly shaped by her family's deep ties to the entertainment industry. Born on December 2, 1944, in Los Angeles, California, she entered the world as Cathy Lee Crosby, a name that would later become widely recognized. Her father, Louis Clayton Crosby, contributed scripts and song lyrics to Hollywood productions, while her mother, Linda Hayes, enjoyed a career as a radio contract actress in the 1940s. This creative household buzzed with constant activity, exposing Cathy Lee to the ins and outs of show business long before she considered it a future path. Surrounded by the energy of Los Angeles, young Cathy Lee found herself at the crossroads of old-school radio drama and Hollywood's emerging television scene. She frequently accompanied her parents to sets and studios, absorbing the behind-the-scenes dynamics of rehearsals, script readings, and musical score sessions. Even as a child, Cathy Lee demonstrated a keen sense for performance, whether it was improvising dialogue with her father or trying out quick vocal exercises inspired by her mother's radio training. Both of her parents' careers gave Cathy Lee a unique lens through which to view creativity. Her father's dual role as a scriptwriter and songwriter allowed her to explore storytelling through words and music, while her mother's experiences in front of the microphone showed her the importance of presence, timing, and connection with an audience. These formative moments instilled in Cathy Lee the discipline and curiosity necessary to excel, not just in entertainment, but also in other pursuits, particularly sports. Despite her strong entertainment roots, Cathy Lee's early life was not solely focused on Hollywood. She balanced a traditional education with her innate artistic leanings. At school, she participated in drama clubs and talent shows, quickly standing out for her natural poise and confidence. Yet Cathy Lee was also athletic, experimenting with various sports that complemented her energetic spirit. This blend of academic dedication, artistic exposure, and athletic ambition gave her a well-rounded perspective, crucial qualities that would serve her throughout her career. By the time Cathy Lee reached her teenage years, she had already mapped out several potential career paths for herself. Whether exploring on-air performances, testing her limits on the tennis court, or writing her own short plays, Cathy Lee showed a willingness to push creative boundaries. This adventurous spirit, nurtured by her parents' support and the bustling environment of Los Angeles, foreshadowed her later success as a recognizable figure in television, film, and beyond. Tennis prodigy Cathy Lee Crosby's immersion in tennis came at a pivotal time in women's sports history. The 1960s saw a surge in the popularity of tennis, with legends like Billie Jean King and Maria Bueno paving the way for greater recognition of female players. For a young athlete to secure a top national ranking in the United States, especially in junior singles, was a major achievement that signaled her intense focus and natural ability. What's most compelling is how quickly she rose through the ranks. Going from picking up a racket at 12 to becoming a nationally ranked player indicates an exceptional learning curve. Often, tennis champions start training almost as soon as they can walk, but Cathy Lee defied that conventional timeline, suggesting she had an innate athletic gift and an extraordinary work ethic. The mention of her partnership with her sister Linda Lou is equally fascinating. Doubles tennis relies heavily on communication, synchronicity, and trust between partners. It's one thing to be a star athlete on your own, it's another to coordinate that success with a partner. The fact that the sisters qualified for Wimbledon, the most prestigious tennis tournament in the world, underscores how remarkable they were as a team. Wimbledon itself is an event that exudes tradition, from the grass courts to the strict dress code, making any appearance there a milestone in a player's career. Tennis also served as a kind of crucible for Cathy Lee's mental toughness. In junior competition, the pressure can be overwhelming for teenagers, who often juggle academics, social life, and the spotlight. For Cathy Lee, living under the bright lights of competitive tennis prepared her for the inevitable challenges she would face in Hollywood, where public expectations can be equally if not more intense. The discipline required to hit thousands of practice shots and the resilience needed to bounce back from a lost set paralleled the diligence and grit needed to pursue roles in the entertainment world. Sports at this level demand not only physical stamina but also the emotional fortitude to handle defeat and maintain humility in victory. She would have had to spend countless hours refining her serve, her forehand, and her net play, not to mention the time devoted to mental preparation, visualizing successful shots, controlling breathing, and adapting strategies mid-match. All of these skills would eventually translate into her ability to handle high-stakes auditions, demanding film schedules, and the general unpredictability of show business. Moreover, her experience traveling the junior tennis circuit meant she encountered a variety of personalities, playing styles, and cultural environments, another form of on-the-go education. Exposure to different regions, even countries, can broaden a young athlete's horizons and nurture an adventurous spirit. We know from the original text that Cathy Lee eventually developed a deep passion for travel and adrenaline-pumping activities. It's possible that her early experiences on the road as a teenage tennis player planted the first seeds for her lifelong love of adventure. The relationship with her sister Linda Lou stands out as well, adding a family dimension to her sporting life. Sibling partnerships in sports can be incredibly tight-knit and powerful, offering emotional support that helps both individuals thrive. Their off-court routine of analyzing matches, plotting strategies, and motivating each other exemplifies a positive sibling dynamic that many aspiring athletes lack. It also hints at a sense of camaraderie that likely made competitions less isolating and more enjoyable. It's worth noting that the era in which Cathy Lee played was less financially lucrative for women's tennis compared to today's multi-million-dollar prize circuits. This means her drive probably came more from a genuine passion for the game rather than the promise of large financial rewards. Still, achieving a national ranking and qualifying for Wimbledon not once but twice was no small feat. Her athletic achievements, combined with her solid academic background, paint a picture of a young woman who never let herself be confined to a single passion or skill set. Looking back, Cathy Lee's tennis career might have continued to soar had it not been for later health challenges. Yet even in her relatively short time on the court, she showcased a level of talent and determination that any athlete would envy. Her story during these formative years provides an incredible example of balancing diverse interests, setting the tone for the rest of her life, where she would continue to juggle multiple ambitions and, in many cases, exceed even her own high expectations. Academic pursuits. Attending the University of Southern California, USC, placed Cathy Lee in the heart of one of the nation's most prestigious private universities, known especially for its strong athletic programs, film school, and academic rigor. For someone juggling athletics and entertainment interests, USC would have been an ideal environment, offering top-tier resources in both fields. Her initial choice to major in pre-med reveals her early ambition in a field demanding an intense level of discipline and curiosity, traits she already demonstrated on the tennis court. It's not uncommon for student athletes to choose fields they find intellectually stimulating, but pre-med is a notoriously demanding track that typically involves challenging courses in biology, chemistry, and physics. Cathy Lee's decision to pivot to sociology and psychology might reflect her growing interest in human behavior, performance, and society, areas that would be immensely useful in her later work as an actress and public figure. Graduating with honors in 1968 was a major accomplishment. Balancing the rigors of college-level academics with any outside pursuits is tough enough, but Cathy Lee also had her deep involvement in tennis and, eventually, her foray into entertainment. This speaks to her time management skills and her innate intellectual curiosity. A thorough grounding in sociology and psychology, moreover, could provide a strong foundation for someone stepping into roles that require empathy and understanding of complex characters, a necessity for acting in film or television. Historically, the late 1960s was a period of significant social change in the United States. College campuses were hotbeds of political activism, with students voicing strong opinions on civil rights, women's rights, and the Vietnam War. Immersed in this environment, Cathy Lee would have been exposed to a broader cultural dialogue that might have influenced her perspective on society, gender roles, and personal freedoms. This heightened social awareness might also have played a role in her later philanthropic activities, particularly her work with incarcerated youth. At the same time, USC was home to many students who would go on to careers in film, television, and sports. Networking with peers in these fields, even casually, could have opened doors for Cathy Lee or sharpened her sense of what was creatively possible. Beyond that, earning her degree with honors demonstrated that she wasn't merely relying on her athletic or entertainment potential. She was laying the groundwork for a life that balanced intellect, artistry, and athletic excellence, once again revealing that versatile nature that would come to define her. Early marriage. Cathy Lee's marriage at age 21 highlights how quickly life events can unfold when you're an ambitious individual juggling multiple paths. At that point, she was still completing her education at USC, so committing to marriage while handling academic pressures and athletic commitments suggests a willingness to embrace adult responsibilities at a young age. It's also noteworthy that the marriage ended after about 2 years, meaning the divorce likely became final around 1968 or 1969, though official documentation indicates 1972. It's possible the legal processes took longer, or perhaps there was a period of separation prior to the finalization. Nonetheless, the brief nature of the marriage may suggest that both partners realized they had different ambitions or lifestyles. Cathy Lee's choice to keep details about this period private points to her preference for shielding personal relationships from the public eye. In an era where public figures often face intense scrutiny, maintaining some privacy can be a way to protect one's emotional well-being. Although she seldom discussed this chapter publicly, it's reasonable to assume the experience left her with new insights about partnership, independence, and the complexities of balancing career aspirations with personal commitments. In a broader cultural context, the 1960s was a time of shifting social norms around love, relationships, and marriage. Divorce was becoming more common, yet it still carried some stigma. Cathy Lee's silence could reflect a desire to avoid sensationalism or overshadowing her professional achievements. Whatever the exact reasons for the marriage's dissolution, it's important to note that this experience was another stepping stone in the personal growth that would define her adulthood, ultimately contributing to the depth and emotional nuance she brought to her later roles and philanthropic endeavors. The end of a tennis career. Mononucleosis is often referred to as the kissing disease, but its impact on athletes can be quite severe. It can bring on persistent exhaustion, swollen glands, and other symptoms that make intense physical activity nearly impossible. For someone at Cathy Lee's level of competition, where stamina and intense training are daily requirements, this diagnosis would have been devastating. Her decision not to return to tennis, even recreationally, suggests she might have come to see the sport as something that, while integral to her youth, no longer aligned with her evolving passions. It's also worth considering that by the 1970s, other opportunities, especially in television and film, were opening up to her. With a strong academic background, a wide array of experiences, and an existing foothold in show business through her family, she had multiple reasons to pivot her focus elsewhere. This period can be seen as a turning point, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. For an accomplished athlete, letting go of a sport at a professional level can be an emotionally challenging process. The mental shift from daily training routines, traveling for tournaments, and receiving public recognition for your athletic talent to a more unpredictable career in entertainment might have been both liberating and daunting. However, Cathy Lee's resilience and capacity for reinvention appear to have guided her transition from the world of tennis to the bright lights of Hollywood. From another angle, quitting high-level competition also freed her up to focus on other adventures, ones that would eventually come to define her public image as not just a sports figure, but a versatile entertainer and philanthropist. That said, her departure from tennis does not diminish the significance of what she accomplished on the court. A trail of junior titles, high national rankings, and even an appearance at Wimbledon remain part of her lasting legacy. Passion for helping others. Cathy Lee Crosby's commitment to supporting incarcerated youth and at-risk individuals underscores the depth of her compassion. Beginning such work in 1981, she positioned herself at the forefront of a movement recognizing that incarceration, especially for young offenders, often stems from systemic issues such as poverty, lack of education, and limited community support. By using her platform and personal story, she effectively tapped into the power of celebrity influence to shine a light on rehabilitation and second chances. Her background, encompassing high-level sports, Hollywood, and academia, gave her a unique vantage point. She could speak to diverse audiences, from starry-eyed fans who recognized her from television to aspiring athletes who admired her on-court achievements. By telling her own story, complete with setbacks, health challenges, and personal struggles, she demonstrated to at-risk youth that it's possible to rebound and find new paths in life. It's also important to acknowledge that the 1980s marked a shift in how society approached criminal justice. While the decade was characterized by a tough-on-crime mentality in many political circles, there was a counter-movement of activists, social workers, and public figures advocating for rehabilitation over punishment. Cathy Lee's decision to step into this arena put her in the company of individuals who believed in restorative justice, focusing on personal transformation rather than mere retribution. Her ongoing dedication to this cause suggests that she went beyond occasional photo ops. By consistently engaging with incarcerated youth over time, she became a reliable figure who could instill hope. Advocacy work in these settings often includes mentorship programs, career guidance, and creative self-expression. Cathy Lee's well-rounded skill set could have allowed her to lead workshops on acting, self-confidence, or even the discipline she learned from her tennis training. Though the public might associate her name primarily with tennis and her role as Wonder Woman, this philanthropic dimension of her life reveals an even deeper layer. It speaks to her empathy, her understanding of the importance of community support, and her belief in the power of personal resilience. From her vantage point, success was not merely about fame or financial gain, it was about leveraging that success to create meaningful change in the lives of others, especially those most vulnerable and overlooked by society. A scandalous breakup. Joe Theismann was a household name in the world of American football, playing quarterback for the Washington Redskins, now the Washington Commanders, and leading them to multiple notable seasons. His high-profile status made his relationship with Cathy Lee Crosby a prime target for media attention. The romance between a famous actress and a celebrated athlete seemed almost too good to be true for the tabloids, which may have amplified any tensions or disputes, feeding a public appetite for scandal. This legal battle over assets was not only financially taxing but also emotionally draining. When two high-profile individuals split, the media often frames the breakup in sensational terms, sometimes overshadowing the professional achievements of both parties. For Cathy Lee, whose tennis and acting careers were milestones in their own right, being thrust into headlines for a contentious legal dispute could have been a stark reminder of how quickly public perception can shift. Ultimately, the out-of-court settlement, with Cathy Lee reportedly paying over $1 million, implies a willingness to reach a resolution without a protracted court battle. Such settlements are often a way for celebrities to avoid further negative press and move on with their lives. While the financial settlement might appear steep, it's worth noting that legal fees and the intangible costs of ongoing litigation could have far exceeded that figure. Although the breakup was messy, it highlights the complexities of mixing personal and professional worlds. When assets and public images are at stake, what might have been a private matter for most couples becomes front-page news. Despite the rocky end to their relationship, Cathy Lee continued to forge ahead, using her resilience to bounce back professionally and maintain her focus on new adventures and philanthropic work. In a more general sense, this episode also shows how the personal lives of public figures intersect with broader cultural conversations about relationships, finances, and women's economic independence. Even for someone as accomplished as Cathy Lee, the vulnerabilities of a public breakup and legal disputes serve as a reminder that nobody is completely shielded from life's curveballs, regardless of their fame or fortune. A life of adventure. Cathy Lee Crosby's penchant for thrill-seeking activities like skydiving and car racing reveals a personality eager to test limits and embrace the unknown. In many ways, these pursuits mirror the path she took in her career, fearless, open to possibilities, and never content to play it safe. From stepping onto center court at Wimbledon to diving from an airplane, the common thread is her appetite for pushing boundaries, be they athletic, artistic, or personal. Earning a pilot's license is an accomplishment in itself, demanding a rigorous set of tests and a deep understanding of aviation mechanics and safety. It requires concentration, dedication, and a calm demeanor, traits one might also see on a film set or in a high-pressure sports match. The fact that she pursued these skills indicates her desire to continue learning and challenging herself, despite already having achieved considerable success in more public arenas like tennis and acting. Ballroom dancing might seem like a departure from her high adrenaline pursuits, but it shares the core elements of discipline, timing, and grace under pressure. Dancing, just like sports, demands coordination, teamwork, if you're dancing with a partner, and an ability to interpret music physically. For someone with an adventurous streak, it might be yet another way to channel her energy into a skill that merges creativity with physicality. Her willingness to dive into aerial stunts and other potentially risky activities suggests a certain type of fearlessness or at least an ability to manage fear effectively. This same quality would have served her well in her acting career, especially when tackling roles that demanded physical commitment or stepping outside her comfort zone. Even her philanthropic work could be seen as a form of psychological adventure, requiring empathy and emotional presence in environments many might find challenging. All in all, these adventurous pursuits form an essential part of the Cathy Lee Crosby persona. They stand as a reminder that she wasn't just a former tennis star or a TV personality, she was a curious, bold individual constantly seeking to learn, explore, and expand her horizons. This restless spirit likely continued to inspire fans who viewed her as a role model, not just for what she did on screen or on the tennis court, but also for how she lived life on her own fearless terms. Artistic pursuits. Cathy Lee Crosby's love for art collecting places her among a select group of celebrities who not only appreciate but actively invest in visual culture. Surrealist masters like Salvador Dali, modern art pioneers like Pablo Picasso, and the bold, abstract shapes of Joan Miro represent some of the most influential movements in 20th century art. Collecting their works isn't merely a financial investment, it's a statement about one's aesthetic taste and emotional resonance with particular styles. Being surrounded by the works of such iconic artists could also serve as a source of inspiration in other facets of her life. Creativity often blossoms when one immerses themselves in different art forms. Observing the bold colors and shapes in a Miro painting, for example, might influence someone to experiment more freely in their own creative endeavors, be it in acting, dancing, or even philanthropic event planning. In taking up painting classes herself, Cathy Lee demonstrated once again that she wasn't content to remain a passive observer. Just like she seized every chance to push boundaries in sports and adventure, she approached the art world with an active, hands-on attitude. Painting requires patience, vision, and an openness to trial and error. This willingness to learn a new skill from scratch, especially when one already commands recognition in other fields, speaks to a humble and curious nature. Moreover, contributing her own artwork to her personal collection is a deeply personal act. It suggests a certain level of vulnerability, as it can be intimidating to hang your own pieces next to works by Dali or Picasso. Yet it also underscores her belief in the value of self-expression, no matter how accomplished you are in other arenas. From a broader perspective, art collecting has historically been a sphere dominated by wealthy patrons and connoisseurs, but in the late 20th century, it became more diverse, with celebrities and creatives making their mark in that community. By aligning herself with notable artists' works, Cathy Lee not only expanded her cultural influence but also highlighted her dedication to supporting and celebrating the arts. And that wraps up the incredible story of Cathy Lee Crosby, a woman who lived a life as adventurous and inspiring as the roles she portrayed. From her groundbreaking career to her personal challenges and unwavering spirit, Cathy Lee's legacy continues to resonate with fans around the world. Which part of her journey inspired you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the lives of iconic figures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.